15 minutes after 7 o'clock on your Friday morning, September the 21st. Fair Day. Central Washington State Fair gets underway the day before fall, and my beautiful wife Sarah's birthday. Happy birthday, Sarah. You're 500 years old, and I just can't believe that the pyramids opened up and delivered you to... What? No?
There goes your night.
It was an Egyptian thing. It goes way back. It is time to hunker down and have a conversation based on a letter that was presented to the Yakima City Council Tuesday night's meeting.
That's right.
As I blogged in my 30 years of observing, reporting on, participating in, and now commenting on the council, I do not think I can recall any sort of move by the business community to make a formal presentation like this. So it's unprecedented, and it's serious, and there are serious consequences for long-term benefit to the city and the chamber. Collection of business leaders and businesses felt strongly enough about several points to bring that forward in a letter. Hasn't been much in the way of a response from council. You did hear from one of the council members. I saw online that Council Member Funk made a response to, I think it was a Yakima Herald blog or something like that, but I haven't heard much. Read much, but we have with us in the studio.
Yes, we do.
Folks that represent the business community.
Dave, we have the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Miss Verlynn Best. Good morning, Verlynn.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We have Chamber. Are you a board member, Joe?
I'm a board member and a past chair.
Joe Mann, past chair, board member, and a Yakima business owner, and the unofficial mayor of downtown Yakima. So I always call you, man.
Yes, he is.
How are you guys?
And, I don't know if you could have two people in a room, any other two people, that have more love for this community.
I agree.
I
agree.
They're
Totally
absolutely.
You will
Totally
know them by their words and deeds.
Yes.
And we have seen nothing but concern, care,
That makes four
love,
of us.
effort.
That makes four of us in the same room, Dave, because we love this valley as well, man.
You to undercut the premise.
Sorry,
Larry.
okay. That's what I do best. We
talk about us later.
Yeah, okay.
Well, all right, look, and I'm not, I kid all the time, but I'm not kidding on this. I know you guys, how much and how deeply you care about this community and the future of this community. And it must have taken a little something to put this together and come forward. Tell us about the process that got you to the point of the letter. So either one, jump in.
Yeah, well, the process was that we had been receiving a lot of calls, a lot of notes, a lot of emails from our membership and just community members. And I think it's always interesting because people sometimes will think that the Chamber of Commerce is somehow affiliated with the city. Mm-hmm. And we're a standalone nonprofit, and we don't receive any city funds whatsoever. So we don't have any obligations there. And on behalf of our membership and the community, we felt like there needs to be a unified voice, and we need to make a statement that they know how the community feels. Now, since then, I have received emails and copies of letters that the council has received privately that haven't been read publicly. And so it's interesting that they've received a lot of comments and a lot of public input, I feel like, and haven't addressed it.
So
and
this
maybe
is
ours
stuff
is formalizing it.
that has collected over time,
Yes.
that hasn't gone addressed?
Yes.
How do you come by those?
Well, people just feel free to share them with me.
You have your ways, your sources.
And
okay.
and I think one of the things that my community and our membership knows, I take things very confidentially. I don't use names, and I take it under advisement. But I do share it with my board of directors. And I said, this is building momentum, and this is not a healthy thing that we're seeing in our community. And when we want people to have a certain perspective of our community, if they happen to be viewing a city council meeting or be attending one, is that really the impression that we want to be given of our valley? Because it isn't a true impression to me right now of what our community stands for and what we believe in. We are a beautiful, strong, collaborating community. We do everything for the greater good. And now that we have these districts and stuff, we've seen just a change in the dynamics of the way our council's operating, and there's a great concern about it. Joe?
I agree. I think I truly believe that the 7 council members want the best for our community, but they have different ways of going about it, and I think they need to unite as a strong team and work together, and set those goals, those priorities that they do every year, and work towards them together, and we don't always see that.
Well, case in point, and I know that you guys made it very clear that this wasn't a plaza reaction. You had other examples, and I think that's legitimate. But I went to the council meeting where when the vote on the plaza was kicked back to the public, and they said, look, this was part of our list of priorities. We agreed we were going to work on this and move forward on this, and here we are jettisoning our priorities mutually agreed to at the first opportunity. So even though it's not about the plaza, I think that represents the kind of thing that we're talking about. You know, set a list of stuff and then move forward on it. Have some loyalty and integrity to the process and to the group decision.
And to each other.
And to each other. Well, but here's the problem. You got people there that I think truly do not like each other. And in certain cases, at least as it's played out, don't respect each other. I mean, you can't treat people the way you see them treated and think that this person has any kind of respect for them if they're doing this in a public setting. That's frustrating and that's upsetting. That calls on individuals to up their character game in terms of how they deal with others. And I guess the question that I would have for you folks is, what would it look like, do you think, if this thing was working how it could and should for the betterment of the city? You kind of set them on notice. We hope things will change. What would that look like? How will you know when you see the change? Just in politeness or priority or what?
I think all of the above. I think there's integrity in decisions, and when we make decisions and then we change them down the road, that lacks integrity, and that's what we're hearing from the community, whether it be the plaza or the business incubator. You know, there was a economic development plan, and if the work that goes before you, every council changes, we're not going to get very far. I mean, if we set things in motion that we want to achieve, and then they change the rules or they change the way we go about it, you go, you know, I'm sorry, it's the example. Go raise $9 million and we'll do this. And then all of a sudden you don't. I don't care whether it's a plaza or an incubator. It's disingenuous, and it's not going to get us anywhere as a community. It's so interesting. I went to I got to attend the Disney Institute this year, and they use a quote that was so powerful to me. And it says, "It's not my fault, but it's my problem." And I think you need to say, maybe these things that went before you don't like. You don't like the way they were funded. You don't like the way they went about them. But we said we were going to do it. So let's do it. That's the way we honor our community and our commitments. I don't care what it is. You honor that. And if you're not going to honor that, how much other water is going to go under the bridge? Because it's the business incubator. What is it going to be next?
Well, let me give you an example, and at the risk of having it sound self-serving, so be that it's too clear of an example not to. When I was on city council, we were operating under the previous election system, and it took 16,000 votes, roughly, to be elected to the council. I was at large, so I didn't have to win a district primary, so I needed those kind of votes both times. But people who run in a district, we had 4 districts, and you run in that district, and you get a few thousand votes, and then you're up for consideration by the whole city, and you felt a responsibility to the whole city. So I get elected at 16,000 votes, and I have to scan the city for priority and what I want to do. Under this districted system, I get elected with 400 votes, and now all of a sudden, I don't like what the previous council did, and so empowered by a handful of votes, I get a chance to undo everything and set new priorities when thousands of voters had a priority and put a person in place with the expectations of what kind of job they're going to do. And so for me, that's the problem. Now, people say, oh, you always bring that up and you're whining about the past and you can't change it. Okay, I get that. We can't change it. It's the system that we've got. So now we have to, if the system can't apply the leverage necessary to have you think big picture, then how do we get people to think big picture?
Well, it's interesting because in a lot of redistricting areas, they've had struggles very similar to this that we're having here in the Valley and some of the research I've done. What I find interesting is no matter what, I don't care, you serve more than 300 people. There's over 100,000 people in the Yakima Valley, and our council should be working for the greater good, because 300 people are not a representation of our community. They may be the representative of that district, but not of the entire community. And I think that you need to be thinking a little bigger, a little wider. And I think if your scope is that narrow, that we're definitely in trouble. And that's one of the problems they say with redistricting.
Sure.
In managing under a redistricting type of policy that we have now. But I think that they need to take a step back, do some self-evaluation, and figure out a better way to represent this entire valley. Otherwise, you know, even here at the chamber, we're talking about creating a candidate forum for the future, and we're going to seek out business-friendly candidates from the business community in each of these districts, because we need people with knowledge of more than just their individual selves, or 3 or 4 people they might know really well in that district.
Or a personal agenda.
Yeah, personal agenda.
Why
exactly.
they want to serve.
You need people that are going to represent the business community and the community at large. And I don't think that we're doing as great a job at that right now as we could. Definitely.
Joe, you're one of the most... Sorry.
I was just going to say, KIT News Time, 726, talking to Verlynn Best and Joe Mann from the Greater Yakima Chamber of Commerce Board. Have you heard from the City Council? Has there been any reaction back to the Chamber from the Council?
I'm going to be honest. I've only heard from one council member that would like to set up a meeting and talk to us. And
does that bother you, the fact that you've only heard from one?
Yes, it does, because, you know, we're a Chamber of Commerce, and we've been practicing business for over 125 years this year in this community. We are the ultimate in professionalism. We have, I think, an exemplary character, and I think if they reach out to us, that we're willing to sit down with each one and every one of them and have that conversation. Are they willing to listen? Well, that's when the ball's in their court. Mm-hmm. And I have heard from one, and I was impressed by that. I genuinely was impressed that one of them would reach out to us and had enough humility to do that.
Will you tell us who that is?
I can't. Okay. I'm not going to.
She's not a leaker.
No.
After the meeting last night, I had a chance to talk to several of them. We didn't talk about the letter, but we did talk about the budget, the budget program and the study session. And so, we're still on speaking terms. It's not, we aren't,
sure.
They aren't drawing a line in the sand, and we aren't either. We want to work together, and that's basically the true context of the letter.
How was the budget meeting last night, though?
It was a little grim.
It was a little grim.
Yeah, we do have budget problems in the community, and we're going to have to work through them all together.
Yeah.
And they're looking at possible solutions to that. I was amazed by the debt that the city has, and so on a personal standpoint.
Let me ask you this: does the city manager play a role in this, in your way of thinking, as a professional manager? As a manager for hire with training and expertise theoretically above and beyond the politically elected, does he have a role to play in helping to reshape the kinds of professionalism, one of the things in the letter, problem solving, interpersonal? Does he have a role to play in all of that?
I think so. I think they hire the best city manager they can, and I think that city manager there is not just a manager. I think he's an educator. He has much more experience with the whole mechanism of a city council, and I think he should be there to instruct and guide and show both sides of the pictures when they come to a program or a situation. And so I hope and believe that, that's what he's doing. He's showing them, well, if you make this decision, this is where it will lead to, and if you make this decision, this is where it will go. And I hope and I believe that's what he's doing.
I think we've seen that performed in the budget meeting last night between Cliff and Anna Cortez. They did an eloquent job of breaking this budget down to where it was very understandable, and they were able to put across the point that we are in critical mass and that we need to make some hard decisions. And I think they did it rather eloquently when I sat there. I was really very, very impressed by their presentation. Right. Now, the follow-through becomes, it falls to the city council. And now's when they need to really look at this, study it, and see what's the best course, not just for themselves, but for Yakima, the community.
Well, you two are two of the most positive people that I know, as well as being unabashed cheerleaders for where you live and serve and work. You guys are both extremely positive. More got these cynical old news guys that have seen so much of the bad and reported on the bad that we can't help but swim through a certain part of the mud to get to the fresh water. How do you feel at this stage of the game? I mean, first step taken, we served notice. You have had some conversations. You did hear from one. Any sense of if in your mind a process were to play out that would bring satisfaction to the business community, what does that look like, and what are the chances of that?
Well, this is the time for self-reflection. We read the letter. It's as the old adage goes, the ball's in their court, and we're hoping they just take a good hard look at it. We didn't mean it as much as a criticism as critiquing, and we can all be critiqued. And I'm the person that goes through life saying, every day I can do something better. I can grow, I can learn. And if they go at life that way, then we have an opportunity for success. But if they take this and they become defensive and take it very personal, then it might not pan out the way we want to.
Might not bear the fruit you're hoping that
but I think this is an opportunity for them to do that. And you know what? We're here to help them. I mean, I don't think there's not one of those people up there that couldn't call on me and say, Verlynn, we need your help, and I wouldn't be willing to give it. Or any member of my board, Joe Mann. We're here to help grow and set that positive impression for our community. And that's all we're asking for the city council. Perception is people's truth. And if we're perceiving our city council as dysfunctional in our community, then we're just asking them to take a look at that and make the changes that need to be changed in order for us to be able to attract economic development here.
Right.
Because if you don't think companies look at what our council's doing when they're considering moving to our community, that would be a grave error.
You bet they do. And let's face it. Go ahead, Joe, in 1 sec. That is that business development provides some of the revenues to offset the budget concerns that you just were talking about. So if we've got an issue, the last thing we want to do is anything that would be a roadblock to other people coming in and helping us address that issue.
I think also it does allow us. We had one council member, reach out to us and want to meet with us, and I think we should, reach out and meet with those other council members as well. Meet in a small group. The current chair and the president. They could sit down and talk and just to understand where people want to go and how they want to get there. Many times it's just a miscommunication of how they want to get there. Maybe we want to get to the same spot. It's just a different road. And so I'm willing to sit down and talk and listen and understand them a little better.
It's not them. It's not us. It's we.
Yep. Lance, you have reached out to council members yourself, right? And you have not necessarily had an overwhelming response.
No, I haven't, but I did get a chance to talk to Carmen Mendez, and she says she's willing to sit down and realizes that the letter is something to grow and learn from. That's what we heard from her. But yeah, I mean, it was almost like the council members saw my town square media on their phone and thought, not going to answer that. But I don't know if that happened at all. But
well, our hope is that they will. And, and it's like I said, if they don't reach out to us, my intention is to just let the dust settle a little bit. And I'm going to be reaching out to each one of them because this is an opportunity for all of us to do our jobs better.
Sure it is.
And that even goes for the chamber. We are constantly growing and improving every day. And I'm very proud of the organization that I get to serve under and the board I have now. And that we took this position not to do any harm to anybody, but just to call attention that things just don't look good up there right now, and we can do better. We can do better as a community. We can do better as a city council.
As we wrap this up, let me just drop on you something you two are both extremely familiar with, and that is the idea of being an all-American city is not a perfect city, but a city that has found ways to work together to fix problems, right? That's the badge of an all-American city. Not the city that's got it all figured out, but a city that acknowledges its issues and has shown creativity and energy and effort and collaboration to deal with those problems. Yeah. And so if we're going to continue in the All-American City path, what you're saying, Verlynn, will come to pass.
That's right.
Correct.
We're going to be an All-America City for as long as I live here because I know this community knows its issues and I know this community's heart is poured out into these issues to make them better. And I think that the private and public partnerships prove that throughout this community. And I will tell you, there are people that just use our medical college for an example. When we go out and raise that much public or private money in a community, it is unheard of in this country. So we need to be very proud of the Yakima Valley and what we pour into this community for economic development and just the pride in the community. And you know what? We love Yakima. Joe and I love Yakima, and I'm going to continue to love this valley, and I'm going to love on those council members until we get this right.
I can't get an image now of these two great Yakima warriors without seeing you squished in between them going, yeah, on either side, because I know this is your hometown, and this is where you are too, Lance. I know that's the case.
Yes.
Well, the bottom line is this.
Thank you, but totally, yeah.
Thanks for coming in. I would also like to extend this. This radio station reaches thousands of people, many people in the business community, listen here, advertise here. We help them with their business. And I would just like to encourage all to come here and share with the public. It's not a one line in an article someplace. It's your conversation, your thoughts, your ideas, how you present your message to the people of Yakima. People in every district listen here. So come here and share ideas and hear from the public and do what you two are doing. And that's telling the community in greater detail what it is that you're about and why you're about that. Much respect to you two. I've always felt that there's never been a doubt in my mind about where you guys are coming from and what this community means to you. And we're the better for your involvement. And this is just another notch in that belt of trying to see something in Yakima that could be made better and your attempts to make it better. So much respect for you guys.
And we want to thank KIT for what they do in this community and giving us all a voice. So thank you guys, and God bless and have a good day.
Same to you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. All right.